Generations have passed since the original heroes of Baldur's Gate saved the city and the realms. Now a new threat rises, and an unlikely group of misfits are thrust into adventure with Minsc, the legendary ranger do-gooder with a heart of gold, brain of lead, and hamster of pronounced wisdom.
Stand and deliver, that my hamster might have a better look at you.
Greetings, fellow adventurers, my name is Folkert, and today we're going to have a look at a Dungeons & Dragons comic books about Minsc and Boo, created by an award-winning writer Jim Zub. He had worked on such titles as Samurai Jack, Wayward, and even teamed up with Patrick Rothfuss to write a D&D/Rick and Morty crossover miniseries, which I hope we'll have a look at someday soon. For now, there are 4 separate series featuring these characters, each consisting of 5 issues. I have only 3 of them here: Legends of Baldur's Gate, Shadow of the Vampire, and Frost Giant's Fury, like in the last one, Evil in Baldur's Gate. And as it goes, after the issues for one series had come out, they were published under one cover, and that's exactly what I have right here.
Magic is impressive, but now Minsc leads. Swords for everyone!
Minsc and Boo have become loved by many fans over the years. Everybody of course knows them from the Baldur's Gate games. But not many know that originally Minsc was a character in pen and paper D&D sessions held by lead designer of Baldur's Gate, James Olin, and was expanded upon by the game's lead writer, Lucas Christensen. I mean, it's written on Wikipedia page, but I didn't know that till like yesterday, and I've been a fan of the games for years. Anyway, Baldur's Gate was a public debut of Minsc and his space hamster as one of players' many companions. His famous phrases, such as
"Go for the eyes, Boo! Go for the eyes!"
were voiced by Jim Cummings, a voice actor with a very impressive resume. Of course, the past of Minsc is full of adventures. A human ranger from Rishaman, he is a wielder of crazy strength and very straightforward views of good and evil. But anyway, these comic book series have no real ties to the character's background, and you can easily pick him up and embark on new adventures with Minsc and his freshly made friends. I have to be honest, I'm not an expert in comic books. I imagine that there are many different tones and genres in the comic book world, and I guess there are some serious works out there. These books, however, remind me of D&D Adventure, where each issue is one session. And I think that's what they're trying to be, and that's what they actually accomplish really well. Almost each of the series was released in support of a particular D&D storyline, along with a bunch of other products. Legends of Baldur's Gate was released with Tyranny of Dragons, Shadow of the Vampire with Curse of Strahd, and Frost Giant's Fury with Storm King's Thunder. I haven't read Evil at Baldur's Gate, but I believe the story there is separate from official D&D campaigns. As a DM running Tyranny of Dragons at the moment, it was super cool to flip through the pages of Legends of Baldur's Gate and have a glimpse on a story that was set in my world in some sort. Cause, you know, it's your world when you run it for months. You shouldn't expect it to be a source book for Baldur's Gate, of course, but it can certainly do what stories do: spark your imagination and give you ideas. D&D aside, it's still a very fun, very fast-paced and action-stuffed read that anyone may enjoy. If you're a fan of the Forgotten Realms, even more so. You might wonder, how come Minsc is still alive if the video games and the comic book events are separated by almost a century? Well, there's a pretty simple explanation taking place in the beginning of Legends of Baldur's Gate, and I'm not gonna spoil it here. While it's kind of silly, it's really in the style of D&D, I would say. And if you're not trying to take the story too serious, you'll like it.
Camaraderie, adventure, and steel on steel. The stuff of legend, right, Boo?
Now let me show you how it looks and make a quick flip through the book so you can understand what's inside. It has 5th edition logo here, as well as on the spine, which will look in place on the shelf near your 5th edition source books and core books and adventures. Here's exactly how it looks inside. Some art, some credits. The issues here are called chapters. Each chapter has the art that was on the issue itself when it came out, and here's a little glimpse on the art. I won't flip too far to not spoil anything for you, but yeah, this book shows the locations of Baldur's Gate, which might give you some ideas and help you running some encounters in the city. So I'm not gonna flip too much here, but I want to show you, well, this particular collection of issues, how it's different from buying those issues separately. In the back of the book, they have this pretty neat collection of art. This one is from Rise of Tiamat, Horde of the Dragon Queen, and yeah, the issue with these sort of bindings is, of course, that you kind of lose a couple of millimeters of art right there. But that's not a huge problem. The book is not that big, that thick. It also features some art that I've never seen before. This attack of blue dragons on some city, maybe Baldur's Gate, I don't know. Pretty cool. You can easily use this art while running your stuff. This looks like the art from the comic book itself. This one you might recognize from the Dungeon Master's screen reincarnated. Pretty cool as well. And also there are some sketches, sort of concept art for all the main characters, most of them. And this adorable little art of Boo and Minsk, of course, with some different emotions. This is very cool as well, which will kind of give you an understanding of how the Baldur's Gate looks. This is what might be useful for you DMs out there. And it gave me some inspiration as well. Inspiration in descriptions and stuff to slightly enhance your running of Baldur's Gate, if you are going to run it. Now this is the second one, Shadows of the Vampire. Here's how this one looks. We have some images of Minsk with really gaping mouth there. Strahd, who has cast a mirror image on himself. Some werewolf and one of the characters that shows up in this series. So again, very moody vampire Strahd here. Little introduction by Jim Zub, and the adventure starts right away, throwing you right into the action from the first page. This one again has some pretty neat art here. Strahd from Curse of Strahd adventure book. This one is actually pretty cool. As you might have guessed, this is Matthew Mercer and I believe his Critical Role crew. I'm not super familiar with all the characters, but I guess those of you who watch Critical Role might kind of guess who's who here. So yeah, that's pretty neat, you know. I've never seen this art before. Now this one, this is all featured in Curse of Strahd, and some advertising of Curse of Strahd and the Taroka deck. And yeah, by the way, this is Madame Eva, I believe, and I've never seen this in the Curse of Strahd book. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. We're moving to the third one, Frost Giant's Fury. Extras in this one are my favorite, and in a moment you're gonna see why. So this is some cool art. This one has a dramatis personae to remind you who are the main characters, so you can jump right in without flipping through the previous series. Yeah, so I'm gonna show you now these art. Here is, as you might have guessed, the front cover of Volo's Guide to Monsters, which I guess they included to feature a giant, because this series is about giants, obviously. Some very cool art of a pretty huge, I think, giant ship. And this is the coolest part. So this comic book actually has character sheets for the main characters. So I don't know, when I saw this, I was blown away, because this is so cool. You have Minsk, and you can see how strong he is. 8 in strength and 17 constitution. He's a 6th level ranger, chaotic good, soldier background, and it has some pretty neat humor in here as well. Like this skill here, Primeval Awareness, Minsk can communicate with beasts, quote, "Go for the eyes, Boo." I mean, isn't that adorable? And yeah, you can actually use these sheets for one shot, why not? Delina, the Moon Elf Sorcerer, what else do we got? Neris, Cleric, and I think I've skipped a page. So Krydal and Shandi, they're all here. And just while I was working on this video, IDW Publishing has announced an all-new 5-issue miniseries called Dungeons & Dragons Infernal Tides, arriving in November of this year. It is meant to help develop the story and setting for an upcoming D&D sourcebook, Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus, so let's keep an eye on those. And that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed the video, smash that button below, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments. Also, consider supporting the channel on Patreon. This will help me put even more work and love in the videos and deliver them more frequently. You'll find the link below. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.